right, artists, we're here today to introduce you to the Handbook cover project, all of the requirements and considerations. So hopefully in class we have already watched this little introductory video. If not, please stop this video now, find these slides that should be posted along with this video presentation, and watch this very short clip. It's going to give you a better understanding of what it's like to be a graphic designer in the world of cover art design. So in this unit, we are trying to put ourselves in the career of graphic design. So computer graphics are used in lots of different careers related to the arts. It could be fine art, it could be commercial art, it could be graphic design. So in graphic design, it's an art profession that generally works in what's called in the visual communications, where you're combining images and words to convey information to an audience. So some of the common things that a graphic designer might do is, for instance, website design. They might do book cover design, menus, billboards, business cards, packaging, logo design. All of these things are included in graphic design. And if you find this unit kind of interesting, I would suggest you taking the print shop and graphic design class, where it actually teaches you all of the different things within the world of graphic design, because even beyond this, it even gets more specialized. In this, we are going to be specifically looking at cover art. So when I say cover art, I mean the cover to products such as textbooks, CD covers, magazines, printed books, and even ebooks still have cover art. Related to that is the field called typography. So typography is the art and technique of arranging type and or designing typefaces. Some people, that is their job, is they create typefaces. Shorthand definition for typography is it's the study of fonts. We're going to be talking a lot about fonts with this project. So what you're going to be doing as your end goal here is the Rockwell High School handbook cover. I want it to be more graphic than photographic. So I'm really going to push you to use the skills that you learned in the last unit on drawing and painting, as well as what you know about shape and color. Yes, you can use photographs, but because of the printing process and because of some other issues, photographs don't do quite as well as graphic, or what we consider more flat, illustrative kinds of graphics and designs. Okay, it should be traditional to another book cover, but you can be a little bit more experimental because you have a captive audience. What that means is they're not in a bookstore having to pick your book cover out from a bunch of others. Instead, this is the only one they're going to get. But you want to create one that they're going to want to carry around or that they find interesting. So the first question you should ask yourself is, who's going to carry this around? What do you think they would want to see? So a cover artist is going to try to put themselves not only in the mood of the text or the product they're creating. So if they're creating a romance novel or a horror novel cover, they're going to make sure they've read the content, they know what it's about, they're going to know who the audience is and what kinds of images that they're going to be kind of drawn to. You have the Rockwell High School students, and that's every student in the building. So that does create an extra challenge because you can't gear it towards just male or female or athletes or artists. You have to do something that's going to be a little appealing to the masses, and that is different than traditional cover art, because traditional cover art, the product, whether it's a CD, an album cover for music, or a book, you're going to have a certain demographic of people who are going to buy that product. Okay, not everybody is going to be wanting to buy Rolling Stone albums, or they're not going to want to read romance novels. So you can at least tailor your imagery to that specific group. You guys have to think about everybody. Okay, you also want to think, how do students use the cover? Do they write their name on it? Do they doodle on it? How can you incorporate some of those more interactive things with the planner? Beyond that, some of my suggestions are, make sure it's not biased towards one group. So you don't want it to be overly girly or male or athletic or school pridey. That's not a word, but you know what I mean. There's some kids who aren't all about RFHS, but you still want to create a cover that appeals to them. I want you to think about trends, because this is an annual yearbook cover. We don't have to worry about it staying in fashion longer than a year. So think about the things that are popular visually, and you can incorporate that. Again, I said, think about how you can make it interactive, leave some room for customization for the student, and then be unique. Think about the covers that you've had over the last few years and try to do something different. Kids always want to see something different, something unique. Have fun and be creative. This does not have to be rocket themed. In fact, it does not even have to use our school colors if you don't want to. You can do crazy things. You can do weird things. You can use pictures in it. It can be all text. It's totally up to you. As I said, you don't even have to use pictures. It can be all text. I'm putting lots of examples of what I consider to be good handbook cover designs in this slide presentation. As I've said in class before, we are student learners. We are growing as artists, so one of the things that you should probably be doing is kind of stealing and tweaking and taking ideas from other more established artists. Some tips when it comes to graphic design is contrast is key. You want to keep it simple and bold. You want it to be easily understood by the eye. Limit your color palettes. Choose 3 or fewer colors typically, because that's going to help make it look more repetitive, make it look like it's unified. Be creative. You can use slogans and images that add to your mood. Keep the type easy to read. Do not put type on top of images. Also, try not to use colors such as yellow, because yellow glows. Any bright color really glows. The only way yellow is ever going to work is what you see here, where you have yellow against black. So something that's extremely different color-wise. Those bright colors for text typically don't work because it makes the text illegible. It makes it harder to read. Your headline should be big and dominant. Everything else, when you're talking about your headline, all the other text should be small. You can see it here. They have one main headline. The other text is considerably smaller. Use graphic elements like line and shape to add more mood. What I mean by that is, look at what they did here. They simply took a yellow square and they flipped the colors. Simple tricks like that can make or break the design of a cover, because it adds just a little bit of visual interest without being overly creative, because these aren't fine art. It should be clean and well organized. Think about using it as a grid and graph. Everything needs to line up. Everything needs to be organized. Everything needs to be repetitive and easy to understand. Here's the criteria. So your dominant headline should read for whatever the current year is in year. So Rock Falls High School 2023, 24, 24, 25, whatever it is, whatever years you're watching this video. You have to, for the project criteria, because it's a class where you're learning Photoshop and the type tool, you have to use some creative use of the type tool. That means something beyond just using the type tool and clicking and typing. So you have to either warp the type, rasterize it, and use it as pixels rather than a vector layer, the type on path method, any of those things that you learned in the advanced one, or even in the later portion of the first video lesson. You need to use some of those more advanced techniques. You must use both the type and design together in meaningful ways. What that means is your type has to be part of your design. So I'm going to click back on this one. Notice the type becomes part of that design. It's not just slapped on top. Or if it is on top, it's lined up with something else. It's not just hovering above. Here they're actually even making the design part of, or the text part of it. So think very clearly about where you're going to put that text. Notice on all of these, the text is usually against a flat background. They've done something so that the text can stand out against that background, not just on pictures or complex textures. Right? Let me go back to this. This is really important. You cannot use any copyrighted imagery from the internet. I know that we've been doing that in class up until now, but because we are printing this on a cover and it's going beyond the scope and scale of just learning within the classroom, you cannot. It's a legal issue. The exception is our Rocket logo. You can, if you go, and I will show you where this file is and where all the Rocket graphics are. They are in the Digital Image Archive. There's a folder called Rock Falls Images. You will have this, which is called our Style Guide. It says what are Pantone colors, so you can actually find the exact shade of Rock Falls High School green if you want it. It's right here. You can also just sample from this using the sample tool. That will work too, even in the slide presentation. If you have the slide presentation open and you hover, you should be able to sample while you have Photoshop open. But the logos are in there. You cannot steal pictures from the internet. There are pictures of the high school in here that you can use. You can recreate your own images based off of images that you see on the internet, but you simply can't copy and paste. Now, if you take parts up, so I'm going to go back to this one here. So let's say you have a part of an image and you change it dramatically. That's okay. Or let's say you want a picture of something that I might have in our digital image archive. Any of those things, any pictures that's in the digital image archive, you can use those. So all like the little scrapbooky parts and pieces, the still life, the textures, all of that stuff in there you can use. Anything in those folders is fair game. It's just coming from the internet, you need to be careful. If there's something specific you're looking for, ask me and I can help you out with that. All right, where did we leave off? All right, again, you do not have to use the green and black. And again, I want you to really think about how students use these books. Use only the fonts, use only a couple of fonts in the document. So I would consider using 2 fonts. One for your main headline and one for the secondary text. Okay, so 2 total. And I would try to pick text that's contrasting. Don't use all caps. Again, be careful when using bright colors, and don't put text on top of pictures. As you can see here, it makes it more difficult to read. When you are ready to start, you need to locate this file here. It is called the Handbook cover. It is in the templates folder. This right here, this red line, is the margin for where you cannot have any important part of the image expanding past, because this is where the spine, that spirally thing, that gets connected. But you do want your design to go edge to edge. That means like your color background or whatever. If you are curious, look at your planner that you have. Notice that the color goes all the way to the edge, but the graphic elements, the parts that are important, they will not go past this red line. The green line is for your text. Your text, any text you have cannot go outside this green line because it gets too close to the edge. So this is your text margin. But again, your graphics should go off all the way, because if you look at your planner, notice it goes off the edges of all 4 sides. When you are done, if you want to, you can delete the red line and the green line, green box before submitting, but you don't have to. I will do that before it gets sent in or before we vote on it. So these are some past student examples. Some of these are better than others, but you can kind of see what's done. Everybody tends to use the green and black, and that's okay. Lots of students like it, and it is our school planner, but you can be weird. You can be out there. Again, like I said, we do have pictures of the school that you can use. You can always go take more pictures if you want. You can do your own hand drawings. So these have all been submissions over the past years. Obviously, most of these didn't get selected by students, but. And then I've given you some other planner designs. Again, steal some ideas. Think about how they've done their layout, arrangement, and how you can tweak and change and make them your own. How can you incorporate some of these designs into your cover? Pick something that you like. Be like, oh, I like how they did this overlap. Maybe I'll draw the rocket and I'll do a hand, draw these other things. And so just tweak it so that it fits our objective, our goal to the rockets, okay? The sky's the limit. Different usually stands out, guys. Kids have seen the same old time and time again. If you want to do something more photograph and you want to start scanning some stuff in, we can do that too. You can reinvent the rocket. If you want to redo the rocket logo, make your own version, go for it. Make sure you spend some time thinking before you just jump into this. All right? Last thing I will say is you do not want to start by putting in a big photo in that background. So when you open up this file, what I don't want you to see, I don't want you to pull on a picture of the school and just make it huge. Nope. If you will look at all of these examples, with the exception of like that one, which of course that one did win that year, most of these, if it has a photograph, the photograph itself is relatively small in these. Okay? All right, if you have any questions, make sure you ask. Otherwise, I am here to help.